Salutations and welcome to Shauna's Kitchen, where every day is a new day, and today we're making tortillas. We're going to do that with 5 simple ingredients. So go ahead and gather up your flour, your salt, room temperature water, vegetable shortening, and an optional is a 1/4 teaspoon of vinegar. Be right back. 2½ cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. I use pink Himalayan salt, so it's a 1.5 teaspoons. Put that into your bowl. And then you're going to either measure out or know an approximation of your 1/2 cup. I know that, oops, that didn't matter. That this is a forgiving recipe, and I can measure in my hand the amount I need. All right, and then that's going to go in there. Now I'm going to go ahead, also you're going to want to have the 1 cup of room temperature water with or without that vinegar. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up, and I'll let you see what that looks like. This is mixed up nicely. Now, one thing I wanted to mention about the shortening, a lot of my friends that make tortillas use Morel or Crisco shortening. However, if you're going to use an off-brand, the next resort would be something that says all vegetable shortening. Don't go with the one that just says plain shortening. It has a lot of extra additives, and your tortillas have a little bit more oil spots in them. They're not quite as fluffy. Now you can see I've just used my hands to mix it up. Even the big balls will just kind of fall apart. At this point, we're ready for our water. I'm going to make a little hole. Still keeping some on the bottom. And I'm only going to put in about 1/3 to 1/2 of it, whatever kind of falls out. And then I'm going to just kind of push it into the middle, rather than getting the water on the edge of my bowl. Just works quicker and easier that way. And then you're not getting a dough mix on the edges to begin with. Once you switch that around 20-30 seconds, you can see it's kind of starting to push together, and I'm just fluffing it. I'm not kneading or anything yet. This is going to be a wet dough, and that's what makes your tortillas nice and fluffy and not dense, and it makes them where they're going to be bendable and flexible and taste super yummy. When I first started making tortillas, I made them too dry by putting in too much flour, thinking that it had to be dry. So I didn't want to put in the whole amount. Put in the whole amount. All right, it's been going for a long time. I just wanted you to see what the consistency looks like before I literally pull it out of the bowl. And then I'm going to knead it, and we'll turn off then I'll show you when I'm ready to come back. So you can see it's coming together. It's still sticky. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put it onto my countertop. With the extra flour. Just didn't want my bowl to go around. So this is what we're going to do, and we're going to set it out, and then I'm going to go ahead and knead, and I'll bring you back in a couple minutes. Alright, got some flour down, a little more elbow room. I just start kind of like it's dough. I can't knead a whole lot. It's hard on me. And then you just push with your palm and kind of pull back and do a 1/4 turn. We want this dough to be smooth, so we're just going to do that. You'll probably be way faster than me, so this is what we're going to do. Just keep on doing it, and I'll get back when I have my nice, beautiful ball. Alright, and here is our dough. It's nice and pliable. It's a little bit tacky. all I'm going to do, take that original bowl. My hands are still clean, so I'm going to go ahead and just take a little bit more grease. Set that down. I'm going to grease my hands real good. Grease that up real nice. Tuck it under itself. Alright, I'm just going to set it back in that original bowl. Rub my hands together one more time, get a little bit more on there. And now I'm going to, you can either, if you don't have a bowl like this, which is what I use for my breads and tortillas, if you don't have that, just go ahead and take a damp, put it back in your original bowl, take a damp cloth that's completely wrung out and put over the top. And now we're going to let it rest for 15 minutes, get the area cleaned up, and then get ready with your scale because we're going to measure out our tortilla balls in 50 to 60 grams. Time to look inside. And you're going to take a little bit more grease. Might be a little too much, but I'll be using it anyway, so I can set it on the side. Slather all around, in between. And you're going to pat that baby down again. And set that back a little bit. So now we're going to be making balls, and when you do it, you're going to be pulling like that apart. Now this is going to be too much. I'm doing it on purpose. I have my scale set on grams. That's 107. You want to be between 50 and 60. So that means we're going to cut it in half. 56. Alright. So now I'm going to go ahead and roll it back into the ball. And I'm going to set it back in. 51. 53. I'm going to go, I like the 55-ish. That's actually my favorite. Alright, 60. So we'll go with that. It's going to be a little tacky. And that's okay. And this does take a while. As you can see, I'm not great at the measurements. 56. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh these out and I'll get back to you. Okay, I have separated between 50 and 60 grams. None of them are 60 grams, more like 55. And I have 12. And I'm going to go ahead and let this rest again on my warm stove for about another 5 minutes. Remember, there's not any yeast in this. However, I want my gluten to sit together. And at that point, we're going to want to have out our little bowl of flour. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take one. And then the first time, we're just going to set it in there and turn it over and then press it down. And then usually the second one on, I'm just going to let it kind of go on to the countertop. I like to start from the inside out and let gravity do its work. Just keep going around. I don't have a problem if they are kind of map shaped or not circular. So then I just lay it down. Make sure I have a little bit of flour on my rolling pin. And then I just let the marble do the work. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just checking to see how pliable my dough is. See how much it shrinks back up. Oops, sorry. And it's shrinking a little. So I know that it is warm to the touch above, about the same height, I go ahead and my stove, I turn it down to about 3.5. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up slowly and put it onto, onto my own hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it a little bit and turn it. You can see the little extra grease that was on the counter before I started rolling. And we're just going to pull it. Now, see how it's going off my fingers? When that starts happening, that's when I start getting a weird shape or they rip. So, check that. I'm going to go ahead and just throw it in there. Usually I set it down gentle, but on my first one, I'm just going to plop it in there. This one, I don't care how ugly it is, it's going to be mine. Now, the reason that I am doing the little stretching is otherwise they shrink up when you go to put them in the pan. This will help it be a lighter, fluffier tortilla. After 20 or 30 seconds, it's going to be pliable and you're going to flip it over. It's not going to look ready, and that's all right. In the meantime, you're going to be getting out another one, doing the flour and putting it down, moving your flour out of the way, and starting the roll on that one. And that way it has time to sit before you put it into the pan. You'll notice I'm not in a big hurry. I'm not trying to roll it all at once. I just want to have it pre-rolled before it's ready to go into that pan. So then I'm going to turn it over. And then I take my flat spatula and I touch around the edges. First one usually is my ugly duckling, but you can see it's starting to puff up just a little bit over there. Now I'm going to brown this up a little bit, but if I over brown these, when I go to, if I want to make them for dinner and I want to heat them up on the stove, then you don't want to have them completely browned out because you're going to want to let it do it a little bit later. And you're going to want to have nice soft tortillas. Now, a lot of people are going to put them into a bowl and then cover them with a towel. I actually put them onto a cookie sheet and lay them out flat and then keep them covered in between until they're completely cool. And then that way they really bend nicely and fold once they're completely cool, and they go into a Ziploc bag and they will hold up really well. So it may seem counterproductive to be pushing down on it, but it actually moves the air over to the other areas where it hasn't puffed up yet. Another thing that I often do is turn or move it around so it's getting a different heat distribution if I notice it's not working quite the same. Even though I'm using my hands, I still want to use my spatula a little bit for my edging, at least. That kind of seals the deal so that it knows to puff up. Time to take a look at the end product. Here are our tortillas. Super soft, as you can see, all of them together even. Super pliable. Roll them, fold them, whatever you want. Just remember to keep your towel in between. Now, little tip, instead of just throwing them in there and then keep closing it, I always put the hottest one on the bottom as I'm doing it, and then I kind of rotate and flip in between. And what that does is it makes them cool equally and not just have one that was cool on the bottom with the edges out. Otherwise, you're going to get a hard, crunchy edge. And we don't want hard, crunchy edges. We want super soft, being able to bend this up and put the whole thing in your mouth if you want to. Not really. Like I said, super awesome pulling apart. Gonna go ahead and give it a try. You can see the edges are not crunchy or hard. Soft, great texture. You can taste just a hint of the salt. That is really great. I can't wait to have this tonight with our beef over there that we're going to be doing. Man, it's wonderful. Have a great day. If you found this useful or you think you know someone that might enjoy it, subscribe, share, like, give me a thumbs up. Give it a try. Give me a comment down below. Let me know how it went for you. Every time, you will get better. Mine may not be beautiful, but I'll tell you what, they taste super fantastic and they're super, super soft and easy going. Now just remember, your last tip of the day is, once these are totally cool, you can take and put them in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. Just fold them all together in half and slip it on in there. And then they will be good to go for a couple of days. If you don't want to cook off all your dough, you can keep it in the fridge as well and cook them up later. Just remember to take them out for an extra 30 seconds. Have a great day. Once again, I'm Tashana, and this is my kitchen. See you next time on Tashana's Kitchen.